ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskar to everyone who are all listening to this talk. Today is 15th August, which marks the 75th Independence Day from the British rule. And from this date, we enter in the 75th anniversary year. So 15th August 2021 to 2022, 15th August. This will be the 75th anniversary year. It is we call it independence, or we got freedom, is how we say. If we compare this concept and deliberate upon it, we will realize what true freedom is. In today's modern day world, if you are keeping tab on this, you might have very recently heard these expressions with respect to commotion in public life, in social life, that freedom of expression, freedom of speech. So it makes us to coerce us into this deliberation. What truly freedom is, or what is ideally freedom should be. It also helps us then to understand the concept of freedom, what a free man, free woman, a free citizen should be, how his thinking behavior should be, where lies the freedom. it also is very important aspect of people, especially at the adolescent age. Parents face this difficulty because there is now generation gap, their children now, and this will always happen. So behavior and psychology in this respect, also freedom, where lies the freedom, what is the freedom, is very important for every individual to think what is being free. So it is said that freedom is not licentious behavior, that you get the privilege, you have the right, but it also brings in the responsibility. Where to curb, where it can be termed as a licentious behavior. So where does freedom and where does discipline lies? Because we know all ethics and moral behavior, all ethical and moral behavior, they have this principle ingrained in it, embedded in it, to curb your freedom, to restrain yourself, sayama. So yoga, which is called the eightfold path. So first stage is yama. Yama means sayama. So five yamas are called ahimsa, brahmacharya, satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya, asteya, aparigraha. So guiding principles for any human being, which will take him practicing these mahavratas. These are called as mahavratas, sarvabhauma mahavratas. This is the word he is used. Sarvabhauma, in all bhumis, sarvabhumi. So on no ground they can be expunged, they can be escaped from, that you can have liberty to freedom to circumvent them. Sarvabhauma, in all bhumis, on all grounds, mahavratas. These are the great vratas, say discipline. So practicing these vratas in its very essence will check one's behavior as he or she wants to do, will not be able to. So the idea of freedom, the idea of moksha, the idea of mukti. So from its highest spiritual standpoint, paramartha drishti, from that standpoint of view, to this our ordinary behavior or in our secular, in political context, what is being free? So from the psychological point of view, how does a free man or free woman, how a free person thinks, behaves, carry himself. Where does the freedom lie? So, so these concepts, the ideas which are deliberated in our spiritual life, in the context of spiritual life, they have very direct reflection in our day-to-day mundane world. This has to be understood. This coherence of life, that easy transition between what we call between secular and spiritual, spiritual and secular, this must be there. This integrity must be achieved. This is what Sri Ramakrishna used to stress upon, insist upon, that bhaver ghare churi nai. That's what he used to say. That there should be no theft in the chamber of heart. So that is how is loosely put. That is not how English people speak English. So it is how loosely translated. So even if it is taken poetically, so there should not be an inconsistency from your innermost belief and how your mind plays on, and how do you show it or act in the outer world. There should be coherence, there should be integrity. So this this is the, I find beauty, though these ideas we find everywhere, but in Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission, in this Ramakrishna Sangha order, and the the ideology and the concepts, philosophy of this place, of this order, this is very distinct, this is very salient, very noticeable and conspicuous, what we say, very prominent feature of this order. And how do they the approach? Many sects, many sampradayas, many orders of spiritual and divine people, and many every other path or traditional different sampradayas, etc. You see, you see that, and you can see in fact in Ramakrishna Sangha, Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel, or Swamiji's teachings, or Mother's life and her teaching. This is what the devotees are of Sri Ramakrishna are marked distinctly. This must be the distinctive feature of our spiritual approach. What do we mean by spiritual life? It is not the external insignia like mala and different kinds of people wear these brooches and labels that maybe some saint's photograph, his name or that organization's name, and uh, some quotation, or some imprinted shirts, or these malas, or different caps, etc., etc. Or people generally say that I have visited this place, I have stayed at this place, I am member here. You see, many times means this question they are asked many time over phone or in person, that what is the process to become member at Ramakrishna Math or Ramakrishna Mission? Now tell me, what is the process to become the member of Ramakrishna Math or Ramakrishna Mission? I tell him frankly, him or her, whoever, that I do not know if there is any concept of membership in Ramakrishna Math or Ramakrishna Mission. I will tell you what I have heard from the elderly monks when I had joined the order. They said that the gates of Ramakrishna Mutt, they are open to come and as well as to go out. What you want to become? A volunteer, a devotee, a monk, a visitor, or whatsoever. You can choose by yourself. You have to decide yourself. If you want to devotee, you want to be a volunteer, yes, approach like that and offer yourself and learn how people and how other volunteers what they are doing. See if it suits you. You do not want to be temple volunteer, you want to be volunteer in some other service project like hospital or other rural outreach project. You do that. Coming very next day, and why do not Swamiji you do this? Why Ramakrishna Mission does not this? Is there is so much this one need and so much. So I said, see, I didn't create Ramakrishna Mission. I'm not the founder of it. I only joined, and they had their prescribed in a the established format approach. I'm still learning many things which I did not believe, miss whether they should have been in a different way. Today I believe that they are right. I did not understand it 20 years earlier. I understand it now. Why these things are like that? Why Ramakrishna Mission's approach to certain thing is something some way like that and not otherwise? Why miss other organizations are doing so many other things? Why Ramakrishna Mission is not doing like that? I used to feel when I was very young and when I had joined the order. So if you like, you stay. This is something like there is some restaurant and it offers certain kind of menu. What is use of going telling them why don't you do that? They will do that if they feel they like. If you feel like eating here, you eat or go somewhere else. Who is hungry? Who needs food? So great things do not happen in a day or in a night. It takes, and as aggressive changes are made, so how it so equally fast it destabilizes, it goes away. So the things which are tested over time, they take their own time and course to change. So this order of monks of devotees in the name of Sri Ramakrishna, so it has very characteristic stamp, a distinct stamp of the character of Sri Ramakrishna. So these ideas are very important for us, being devotees, taken his name, having made him the guiding star or our chosen ideal. So, and very naturally, the people who are associated with their heart and mind, we see them differently. Means you yourself can see a devotee who is involved, attached, and uh, very well versed. His ideas of life, his in general or in about spiritual life, they are very distinct. They bear that mark. After coming for so many years, if the devotee has not got what this place is about, We know that then you see that he's going and coming what was just bare physical. So he has not grasped the soul of it. So ideas of spiritual life and the subject matter which this the spiritual life and its struggle deals with, deliberation on it and our pursuit, howsoever small it might be, it going to enrich our life, and that's why we pursue it. We know how difficult it is. Why we pursue it, that it makes us better than our than ourselves, what we were ourselves yesterday. So, and talking about freedom or liberty, Swami Triguna Titananji Maharaj, he was in US, was, one of the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He was very fond of this quotation attributed to Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of America, USA. But that quotation many times it is attributed to some other people also. So like Patrick Henry or Wendell Phillips, these two names. So that quotation was, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Swami Trigunatitananji was very fond of this quotation. Now we can understand why he used to like that quotation. Because it has a spiritual significance. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. That freedom, getting liberty and sustaining it, it's another thing. You become free and remain free. So you should not, so to sustain that freedom, that eternal vigilance is the price to keep it up. So it is also true about our spiritual life, that this was the idea I was thinking, coming to our subject matter at hand. So something which is called as spiritual, spirit, which is not matter. Spirit is conscious, matter is dead. Being spiritual is spiritually oriented towards spirit, guided by consciousness, awareness, Chaitanya. And being material is taken over by the matter, which is dead, which is unconscious. So your mind is spiritual when it's alert, when viveka is there, you act in accordance of it, you do not fall prey, you do not go in the flow of the mind. Mind is matter. Your awareness, your viveka, that is alert, that is not dusted. So our own actions, so they can be said they are spiritual or they can be material, on the basis of how they are oriented, how they are guided. Being spiritual is when somebody becomes spiritual. This is the thing. If our scale, we take the 100% spiritual alertness, that one with the spirit, if that is 100, then wherever we do stand, so Chaitanya at one end and dead matter at another, which you can say 0, and this we can say the 100. So when person is becoming spiritual, his awareness, alertness, oriented toward consciousness, guided by the discrimination, Sat, Asat, vicharaha. That is viveka. So that's what constitutes becoming spiritual. So what we see as, Sri Ramakrishna had said this thing with regard to Swami Vivekananda, Narendra at that time, and in praise of Narendra, a young Narendra. So Sri Ramakrishna is, of course, mighty pleased to meet Narendranath, and he's talking about him to everyone, that how great Narendra is. Uh, so he's saying about him to mm, that uh, that he remains so alert that even if he sleeps, he keeps the sword of the discrimination, that viveka, under his pillow. You know, that's how he put it. Sri Ramakrishna has put it. So at one side, becoming spiritual is remaining alert not in the sense of what is going on in the surrounding, what like a sharp ninja warrior might be, they are trained, especially the cohort operators. They are such kind of special forces. They are trained like that. So it is not that kind of alertness, or suppose of any businessman or a lawyer, or some people miss for their proficiency in their trade. They demand that such kind of alertness, like you might have seen a conductor. I have seen in the bus conductor how they are trained with their experience in the bus, which is almost double to the capacity, but he knows every person who has given ticket and who has not. He immediately will ask him, give the ticket. You cannot escape his eyes. Alertness, awareness, that even if he's not looking, nothing escapes. So sports person, they develop. We are talking here now a different kind of alertness. So many time, spiritual aspirants, when they are developing, so they are more focused on this alertness within mind, how, where the mind is, what it is trying to do, whether it is going to slip away from these brackets of discrimination. It will give rise to some another a torrent of unwanted thoughts, or create a tornado of some kind of emotion which will hijack your mind. So a yogi, Arurukshu, one who want to establish into yoga, he developed this alertness because of sheer necessity. Otherwise, it will be waste of the practice if mind is hijacked. Sri Ramakrishna gave again this. He had said with respect to controlling of the mind, like he gave the example of how the Mahut, the what it is called in English, I do not know, the one who controls the elephant, who sits almost upon his neck, and he has one pointed iron dagger kind of thing, rod with him, and with that he controls the elephant. So Sri Ramakrishna is giving that example, that when that elephant is walking through some street or through some field, and he is extending its trunk to eat something which he is not supposed to, maybe it is crop, or some other flower plant, or etc. He is not supposed to eat that. So but it's an animal, so by its nature whatever it thinks which is eatable, he slowly extend his trunk. But what does the mouth do? The rider who is controlling that elephant, he pinches him with that rod. So elephant, because he's trained in that way, he immediately understands that signal and retreats back its own trunk, and of course walks its own path. So Sri Ramakrishna gives this example as to how to control the mind. As soon as your mind is extending towards something in the allurement of where your mind will get attracted, it can be positive in the sense that it will be alluring, or it can be abhorring, and it can be something negative. So in both the sense, so negative things also can create a wave of emotions. Miss, if you are jealous, if you are uh, so with something, suddenly some kind of instance may gives rise to a whole torrent of emotions, negative ideas also, fear also. So these kinds of ideas. So any of these things. So when our mind is slowly extending its arm, extending its trunk, when uh, approaching it, and it is very risky and it is very dangerous, that it can fall in that trap and consume your a lot of energy in that. So your day will be ruined, your scheduled session of job, and then that could be ruined. So yogi has to be alert. So alertness out of this sheer necessity to watch the mind, to watch the mind. So this is vigilance, ever watchfulness. So this alertness, this consciousness with practice developed in all yogis, it should develop in all spiritual aspirants. Sri Ramakrishna on the many times devotees or spiritual aspirants, means this was general concept, that when they are so God oriented, spirit oriented, consciousness oriented, so they become oblivious of the other things of the world, and many time it was seen as a virtue, that how absorbed or concentrated they are in their own uh, in their own world, or that desired field of concentration. Many time many professor, teachers and scientists, uh, not to speak of saints, so they had displaced this characteristics, such kind of behavior. But Sri Ramakrishna is condemning that, in the sense that not to try to become like that. So he is scolding Yogananji Maharaj that you become a devotee, why should you become a fool? That you went to buy a pan and you could not see it, that there is a hole. And he's rebuking Swami Turyananji, then Harinath, that he took something from a knife from him, and this a matchbox from him, and he didn't keep in the same place. Sri Ramakrishna is saying that I am all the time, I am in, I goes into samadhi, and I cannot keep the cloth on my waist, it falls off. Still, I do not forget. He's scolding Latu Maharaj, that when Latu Maharaj forgot to bring his towel along with him. Alertness. Sri Ramakrishna was not of that kind that you can become then oblivious while going, simply walking 5 feet, you are kicking 10 things in your path. So, not that kind of behavior. So, vigilance, watchfulness, this alertness, this awareness about our own mind, how we are behaving, this, the for any practicing yogi, whoever is practicing meditation, these qualities should automatically, very naturally, they should develop. Without that, that person will not be able to sustain his practice and development. So, with this thought that the idea of this alertness as growing into spirituality, developing on our spiritual path, we come to this our this verse, the sixth verse of the sixth chapter, which we were discussing in the last class, that बंधुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्. So, for the person who has conquered his mind, atmana jitah. So, for such a person, his mind, his self, is his friend, and its corollary is expressed in the second verse. For one who has not conquered his mind, anatmanah, for such a person, anatmanah means like here what in the first line, as it is said, atmana jitah. Here word is used anatmanah, that not yourself. It is not said that Bhagwan, at least he has not used this word, not who has not conquered his mind. He has not said that. So self here in the sense of the mind, you are not your own self, anatmanah, that which is not you, which is besides yourself. Many times we feel that people commits mistakes, and this is the many time expression when they are asked to explain their behavior, that I was not myself, out of in a fit of rage or anger, that or I was totally taken over by the greed, that or the in the feet of that jealousy, I was completely blind, etc. You are not yourself, your conscious self, anatmanah. This word is used, anatmanah tu shatrutve, in the case of conflict, when there is a dilemma, when there is a choice to be made, when so this self of yours, unconscious self of yours, anatmanah tu shatrutve varteta atmaiva shatruvat, it will behave varteta, it will behave like your own enemy, varteta atmaiva shatruvat. This is what is said. So here in these verses we see that um, concentration of the mind is being the primary theme, the training of the mind, the disciplining of the mind. This is the subject is being dealt it here, and in the same context we were discussing today the alertness, this factor, and here when here in the second line, where it is in the case of conflict, when a choice is to be made, choice is not simple and straightforward, when there is a dilemma. So the mind, the unconscious self of yours, which is not a discipline, which is not controlled, na jitaha, so that will behave like an enemy. So in this regard, in this context of disciplining of the mind, so I had quoted this Swamiji's words in the last class, and I thought I would give a little touch to it again, that with regard to this one, the definition of education. So Swamiji had said the training by which the current and expression of will are brought under control and made fruitful is called education. So he had said that what is education? It is means gathering of facts and information, means uh, 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 you know pushing into your brain. So that is not the information that you can regurgite something that you have been told to, like parroting something. That is not education. You can tell you have a lot of information of a lot many other things. That is not education. The soul of education lies here in the training of the mind, and here the current and expression of will. Now this will, what we say when in the context of willpower, ichha shakti or sankalpa shakti, the willpower. So this, what we see as the, when we see we use that is the faculty of our own mind. When we use that to take work from our own mind, to make our mind work, or work our mind, to work, like to work our muscles, to work our mind, to work our brain, similarly to work our mind, making mind work. Now remember this phrase, that working your mind, like working your muscles out, working out your muscles, so working out your mind. So making mind work, that's what you are doing. Like you take a work done from an animal or from a machine. So here making mind work, you be the mind, you are one with it, you cannot make it work unless you develop a sense of detachment and an idea of detachment from it. You are a witness of it and it is something you have. Then only you can, if you are one with the suffering of your muscles and do not see yourselves apart from it, you cannot work those muscles. The people, we may think that how this so much tedious working out, suppose in gym or in any field of work, how they do that. So that if you might see that there is 45-minute video on YouTube about this para SF commandos. That is their qualification test. It is of probably 100 hours test, 100 hours test. So in those 100 hours they are continuously worked. 100 hours, not like spanning over a week. 100 hours not spanning over a week. There are 24 hours in a day, so 96 hours means 4 days. But they hardly, they let them sleep in 1 or 2 hours a day. And what my point is, how to test the will, whether that person can endure, whether that person can motivate, whether that person can push himself to achieve what is possible. And at the same time, their selection rate, they are already, so some commandos, the means in a different units, but becoming para special forces. It is the highest, the top quality of special forces India have, para SF. Remember that. So they always wear that red beret, red cap like, and they have this Balidan badge. So that is the para commandos insignia. If you see that, you know that person is one in million. That even the commandos from different units, they cannot continue, and they drop rate is humongous. And all the time that grueling test is going on, one officer is all the time with the paper, means you can escape that torture, that at any time you can simply sign and walk out, but you will not be a para commando anymore. So always there is the temptation to walk out, and here that taste is so it is qualifying taste. So training is different. So this qualifying test is like that. So it is one of the hardest in entire globally. Like 100-meter run, 100-kilometer run test. Nobody takes that. So maximum there is 90-kilometer. In India, they take 100-kilometer run test continuously. You have to run 100 kilometers. So nowhere it is tested the spirit of a man, the will of a man to such an extent. So to push yourself in the arts that when your mind, your body, it is giving up, that faculty we use to coax, to course, to push ourselves, that is will. Especially in the concentration, in the developing concentration, developing meditation, these two faculties, one is this conviction, how sincerely, how thoroughly, how soulfully, how fully you believe, and the second faculty as will. These are the most required ingredient of a mature meditation. The person who can meditate, it is not like that all days they cannot be. It is not then a true and tested meditation when you do not have the bouts of upsetting your mind. Rather, in spite of that, when you wish put yourself, sit on the asana of your meditation, and then concentrate your mind with your effort, with your this willpower, then only you are you are you are progressing, you are meditating. However, there might be anxiety, there might be causes, there might be moments of exuberance of joy, many other things. Simply that India has won a World Cup, and you had been so emotionally involved, your mind is now so spiked with this joy hormones, pleasure hormones, and you are not able to then you ask yourself then नहीं यार आज तो इंडिया जीत गया, आज तो अच्छे से खाना करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, आज मेडिटेट नहीं करेंगे. Most of the time our life is like that. There is either such a reason or another reason. Mood nahi hai. So this is the greatest enemy of the meditation. Who has not conquered this mood nahi hai, he cannot meditate. He or she cannot meditate. Meditation has to become independent of emotion. That is the goal. Rather to make, and that is the outcome. It will make you independent of emotion. So you have to practice being independent of emotion to meditate. You can start with it, it's all right. But they must dissolve, they must be left back. It must be independent of arguments. So it is the crux, is the golden mead of your heart and brain. The best of it. The heart pours the soul, but leaves out the emotion, and brain puts that consciousness, that alertness, but leaves out the clamor of the argument. And there in that area of twilight, you attain meditation. So this will is, as I said, that as if you go spiritually progressing in your meditation, this alertness should naturally come to you. This is the another faculty, what we say, the will. It will develop. With the developed will, your concentration will develop. As you develop your concentration, your will be developed. To make your mind work, that is the idea. This training of mind to make your mind work, to work your mind, that is called as education. through any form, through reading, through memorizing, through paints and drawing, through sports, through dancing or swimming or anything, or singing, so to say, learning classical singing. What is education? Training, getting grasp over your own mind, making it work. Your Guruji says sa, you, so how students say, the first they will start with a harmonium or something with the help of an instrument, sa, and Guruji is saying sa. So these students, what is saying, that singing learning first lesson is to say sa. It is sa, means it is like a word. So he is saying in his voice, and this girl is saying in her voice. So she sings because Guruji is elder, 50, 60 years old, and I am but 8. So naturally my voice is like this. So my size is like this, Guruji's size is like this. So Guruji says, no, not like that. Not like that. Sa is not the word sa. It is the sur where you have to, and slowly she gets aware. Guruji is correcting. No, you raise your voice, Ardula, no, say in my tune with me, etc. He trains that child, and slowly she develop that consciousness, that what sa is not the word. It is the that pitch of the sound, that note of the sound. And slowly, when then as soon as she has taught, she has been asked to exercise that, the practice that, she forgets it. And again the same thing happened in the next class. Then slowly she develops that idea, that what sa should be, it should sound like, and with the instrument now she can pitch, she can throw out the right sa, with the help of a harmonium. Now she has to now internalize that idea without the help of an instrument, like as if that memorizing, internalizing that, to know that even she's woke up from the sleep and asked her to say sa, she will exactly hit accurately at that target, and she will take out that sa. Then she has got that sa. Grasping, getting your grasp over your own mind, knowing its working, how it's functioning. This is the natural progression of meditation, of spiritual development. You know yourself better. You self knowledge not in the highest sense, that having the knowledge of the consciousness through samadhi, but knowing your own mind slowly, gradually, in its depth, in its pervasiveness, becoming alert, more and more of it through every small and big moments of it. Sri Ramakrishna is to say that man hush, that conscious being, where is that? That is that the person with this alertness, person with the consciousness. So that is the mark of a spiritual aspirant, a development on the path of spiritual progress. So this alertness, this will, these are so very important factor, as in our day-to-day life, so also in our spiritual development. So there has to be given thought to, and our attention, that it should develop more and more to them, it should be given to them. So in the last class we were also talking about krupa and the grace of the God, and the effort, the self effort, purushartha. So I would like to put it like this, that definitely the vision of God, it will be the unconditional grace of God. Through his grace only one can have that. But the development of character is solely upon your shoulders. To becoming better than yourself, it is solely upon your shoulders, your self effort. You cannot simply plead because God has made my mind like that. He had given you that much intelligence to speak like that. He have given you intelligence to know the difference between what is right and wrong. He has given you little power. You exercise it once, twice, thrice, you will have more of it. The development of will, the development of willpower. Swamiji, he says, he puts it, even this samadhi or brahmagyan at the second tier, what holds up the development of character. This is again the hallmark of Ramakrishna order, the Ramakrishna spiritual tradition. The development of character, that becoming the person, becoming that change. So that is spiritual growth. So it will come with this ever watchfulness, that eternal vigilance, that alertness, and consequently this development of will with development of concentration, meditation. That's how virtue can be built, the wealth of character can be formed. So we would take a break here, and from the next class we will go to the next verse. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.